This is the Reading Instruction Show. I'm your host, as always, Dr. Andy Johnson. Today we're looking at reading fluency, and this is part 2, focusing on reading strategies. But first, the READ Act as it addresses fluency and showing why the READ Act is not evidence-based, rather it is ignorance-based. They define fluency as the ability to read text accurately, automatically, and with proper expression. Accuracy is different from fluency. Struggling readers have different deficit areas in word identification. Accuracy is different from fluency. As we defined in the last video, fluency is the ability to quickly recognize and process text. Further, it gives the impression that direct, explicit, and systematic instruction should be used with fluency. Direct instruction in fluency. What exactly do you instruct? Direct instruction, systematic, explicit instruction, has a behavioral objective, input, guided practice, modeling, and independent practice. So what exactly do you instruct in? There's a difference between using words and knowing what these words mean, and the READ Act. Those people who put together the READ Act, they use words, but they don't know what they mean. So let's take a look. We want to use words per minute versus words correct per minute. That's WCPM. To document or to assess reading fluency, because again, we're looking just at the speed of processing. There's 3 deficit areas: comprehension, word recognition, and fluency. Struggling readers are not the same. Struggling readers can have deficits in 1, 2, or all 3, but not all struggle in all 3, and how you address fluency is different from how you assess word reading accuracy or word recognition. Therefore, to lump them together in a measure of fluency, it does not make sense. Fluency, we're only concerned with the rate of word recognition, not accuracy. But people say, well, what if they just say anything? Well, it still slows them down because they have to encounter a word, they have to pause, they have to think, they have to insert. It takes up more space in short-term memory, hence more time. And fluency is related to time, rate, and prosody. So here are some strategies, and we use the term automaticity. That term is used to automatically recognize words, and repeated reading activities are one method that can be used to develop automaticity. And we're concerned with fluency here, not word recognition, not word identification, not comprehension. Fluency activities, 2 to 8 minutes a day. These can be done individually, in pairs, or in groups. And like every strategy, adopt and adapt. And these are first some repeated reading strategies or activities. Words per minute. Very simple. Find a text at students' independent level. They read as fast as they can for 1 minute. They read and pronounce as many words as they can, and at 1 minute, you stop and you record the time. And you do this 2 more times. And students then record their times either on a bar graph or a line graph. And I like this because it develops self-efficacy. Students can see their times getting better. This is 1 day, a 2nd day, a 3rd day. This is a bar graph. They can see their times getting faster every day. With younger students, we use words per half minute. With younger students and struggling readers, reading for a minute can be a bit overwhelming. So it's okay to use half a minute. This can be done in pairs. Create pairs, assign each student a different text. On the signal, one person starts, the other person follows along. Do it 2 more times and then change roles. So the other person is following along to make sure that no words are skipped and processing the text at the same time. Short passage fluency. I started using this with struggling readers, and I'll show you an example. Students are given a short passage, 30 to 50 words, and there's a target word underlined, either at the 20, 30, or 40 word mark. Students read to the target, and we record their time, and they do it 2 more times. And here you can see the 3 times on the graph. They can see their times getting faster. This is what it looks like. Here's the text. That is the 30, 40, and 50 word mark. All right. So they read to one of those, and then you record their times. Other fluency strategies. Scaffolded oral reading, sometimes called the neurological impress method. You read the text together out loud, but you're moving a millisecond ahead of students, providing a quiet scaffold. And if the student stumbles or slows, you keep it moving at a steady pace using a quiet voice. And you pull out when you can. You're acting just as a quiet scaffold. In groups, this can be done as choral reading, but you want to keep reading at a steady pace, a scaffold. Replay analysis. This is a word recognition and fluency strategy. Students read anywhere from 3 to 6 sentences. They record it with an audio recorder. They listen and they underline the stumble words, and they repeat until fluency is achieved. They can read it fluently without any stumbles, usually 2 or 3 times. And echo reading. Very simple thing. You read it together, pointing at each word. Students then read it back to you or echo what you said. When fluency is achieved, you move on. And reader's theater. This provides opportunities for students to reread the same text many times to practice it. You use familiar stories or stories that you have read, and you make them into scripts, or you change the parts. Now, in this picture, they're using the actual book. I like to create scripts out of there with narrators. But you can use this however you want, and then you change roles so students have opportunities to listen, to hear the parts, and to read different parts, and to practice the same text in subsequent days. Conversation is similar. I use this with online tutoring a lot. You have a 2-person dialogue, and you record what each person says. Now, dialogue is familiar to the students, and it's easy to read. And you can have imaginary characters or real characters, and fluency is achieved by rereading it. For example, Mr. Johnson and Susie, I said, "Good morning, Susie," and she said back. And then, "What do you want to talk about?" And then I recorded what she said. "Did you have fun at recess? What did you do?" And I'm recording the conversation using a 2-person character block. And then we read it back until fluency is achieved. And then to have fun, she becomes Mr. Johnson and I become Susie. And I save these for reading practice on subsequent days. This is a repeated reading activity. This is fun. No single one of these activities should be used exclusively, but they can all be used, and they can reinforce letter sounds too if you want. Popular song lyrics, why not? Print out, reread until fluency is achieved, and then use the lyrics, words in the lyrics, for mini analytic phonics lessons. And this can be done upper elementary and middle school as well, song lyrics. Why not? Students like to listen to music. Use their natural inclination for reading instruction. And of course, the absolute best strategy of all for most reading problems is wide reading. Find the good books and they will read. These should be books that students want to read at their independent level or below. And again, you see what the Read Active Minnesota is ignorance-based, not evidence-based. Reading accurately is different from fluent, reading fluently. Reading with proper expression is different from prosody. And what exactly do you teach when you're using systematic and explicit instruction for fluency? These are some of my sources. These are found in my book. And this has been the Reading Instruction Show.